Cool. Okay, we are back and we're going to go a bit deeper on kind of where we left off in the last video around database skill. And the reason I'm going to hit on this one so hard is because it really is foundational to, I think, one, seeing what's possible with AI when it's given this data, and then two, we're going to talk about reconciliations, like the accounting reconciliations that we all do, and how, this database skill is foundational to that being possible. And so what I'm going to kind of do to kick this off is I'm going to get back into that DB query skill folder. And then I'm going to kind of talk about what's in there and how it works. But first, I'm going to kind of tease it with like a sample. So I'm going to say, hey, get me the trial balance for Acme as of 12/31/2025. And so what you're going to see it do, it's going to try to understand what I'm asking, and then it's saying, okay, this person wants to query the database. So it's going to load that database skill. It's running this command. It's going to ask me for approval. By the way, you can turn off, you can do like auto kind of completion on this stuff. I typically don't, but you can. So that's up to you. You can kind of go YOLO mode where it just auto accepts everything that Cloud wants to do. I wouldn't recommend it, but to each their own. So anyways, I'm going to approve this. And it's going to spit out a trial balance for me with some dummy data. This is all just dummy data. So, it should all debits equal credits. But like if a number looks a little bit weird, like just don't take it too seriously. It's all fake data from Opus. But here you go. So we have a checking account. We got, AR. We got all the regular stuff. So pretty cool. So I can say, can you show me the P&L? And see if it does the same thing. So you can see right now I'm just kind of talking to it, and I don't know, that's pretty cool. Maybe you're not as impressed by that as I am, but like it feels like Jarvis from Iron Man, where you kind of go in and you kind of just talk to it. And if you have any kind of really good, there's a lot of kind of speech to text dictation solutions now for computers, where you can kind of just talk to it and it'll put it into the computer. Well, there you go. I'm gonna see if I can do that here. I can't remember if I do it right. Show me the balance sheet as of November 30th. Cool. Look at that. There you go. That was using WhisperFlow, by the way. So check that out if you like that. So here we go to a balance sheet as of November 30th. And let's see what it comes up with. It's cooking. So, okay, here you go. So cool, right? Like, so there it is. It's really that simple. What's actually happening? Well, let me go into the actual files here, because this is going to tie into kind of skills and prompts, because I mentioned the core four. We've talked about model, we talked about context, and we talked about skill a little bit in the last video, but now we're kind of like showing it in like a real world use case. So I'm going to go into skill.md, and this is basically like a prompt. Like it's basically a prompt. And so you can see here, like, hey, trial balance, it's going to get the trial balance as of a specific date. If there's account activity, it's going to, get it for that activity for a certain GL. So you can kind of see it's giving like the agent breadcrumbs about like how to like get this information, right? What I wanted to show here too is there's a reference.md file. And I think I showed that in the very first video I did, where I showed the agent like documentation on Anthropic's website. And so reference.md here is good because it kind of exposes the database schema to the agent. The schema is just basically like the columns. So let me get in there and kind of show what that looks like. But here's the, I don't know why it's picking up those underscores, but regardless, here's the schema. So like you see the column, the type, and the description for all the data that's in here. It talks about relationships. This is really important because it gives your agent an understanding of the data that's available to it. And like what the data is formatted like. Again, last time I showed that picture, I think I still have it up here. So it's basically giving this picture as like a text representation, which obviously the AI can read better than a picture. The other thing I would just add is, for my agent, this was really easy to do because the database is just on my computer. Like this is just a demo, right? But like if you have an actual data warehouse that you are connecting to via the API, you'll have to kind of go through a separate route to get the schema. If you're using something like SQL Server or Databricks, there'll be like a command, I think it's called like describe, where you say describe, and you put the table, and it'll give you the schema. So like there's ways that you can get the schema pretty easily from any modern SQL warehouse. So that's what it's doing. So again, going back to how we're using the skill, you think about it, okay, we give it the breadcrumbs, we know we have the schema, and what's actually being being run. So let me go into the query.py. So this is a Python script, and this is where it's actually just doing all the code. And so you can see here for like a trial balance, this is the actual SQL query right there. So basically what's happening under the hood is Claude Code is seeing, okay, what period does the user want to query for a trial balance? And they basically are going to pass, see if I can find it here somewhere easily, where date condition right here. It's probably hard to see. I'll try and zoom in on the editing room, but they're going to parse the date condition from my message. Or if it's not a trial balance, let's just say it's, activity, right? So here's the activity. So it's going to look for a certain GL account from date and a to date, right? So if I say, hey, give me the activity in this GL for the month of January, it's going to have a from date of January 1st, 2026 to January 31st, 2026. And if there's any GL, it's going to talk about the GL. There'll be a placeholder for the GL in there, account number and account name, right? So that's kind of how it works. And again, Claude wrote all this code. Now, obviously, I probably could have made it, but it would have taken way, way longer. And, again, I'm pretty, for like a non-technical background, I think I'm pretty tech savvy when it comes to this stuff, but you wouldn't need to be yourself. And especially if you are connecting via an API, it's actually way better because you can AI will just make the curl command and you wouldn't have to worry about all this stuff. Not that important. But I think the main thing I want to kind of emphasize is, look, we've just given it that skill and all of a sudden we can just ask it information however we want. Let's just say show me all the transactions that make up inventory for the year. And let's just see what that does. And hopefully when I do that, it doesn't mute the mic on the recording, but I'll find out in the editing room. And I'll do some captions if it's the case. But there you go. So look, we have 2 journal entries that make up that balance. It had a 0 opening balance. We had a purchase. We had a sale. And we have a closing balance of $1,200. Pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. So show me journal entry 10. Give me the details there. And again, this is all dummy data, which is actually really impressive that Claude or Opus made the dummy data. Pretty solid. So here's JE10. It was posted on February 10th, 2025. Got cash. We got sales revenue, cost of goods sold, inventory. Awesome. Yeah, this just tells you the gross margin. Again, I didn't ask for that. It just said, give me that JE detail. So really, really cool. And when we talk about reconciliations, this is again going to be the first place that we start. How do we get the data out of the system? Well, now we have the skill where we can get that data and get pretty much any data that's relevant out of the GL this way. Now we're going to figure out, okay, what's the next step in reconciliations? How do we set that up as a skill? How do we make it kind of, do what we want it to do for this reconciliation, but maybe for this reconciliation, do something a little bit differently? All that in the next video. So sure, if you're enjoying this, to kind of check this next one out. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. So yeah, database query skill. If you are setting up Claude Code and you're an accountant, I would really spend some time and effort in trying to figure out how you can, via API or via connection to the data warehouse, get the data like this, get the schema, have AI help you write the skill.md of how this is queried. If you can provide it example queries, that's even better. And you can put those in the reference.md file. I don't think I actually have that in this one, but I've seen in kind of other lines or other stuff I've done, having examples in this reference.md work really well if you have a really complicated database. So get all the data in there, give it to Claude Code, give it to Opus, and watch it kind of be able to talk to it. And it's really, really cool. So at least if you're a nerd like me and like to pretend like you're talking to Jarvis in Iron Man. So cool. Yeah. All right. That's enough for me. We'll leave it there. And then for the next one, again, we'll talk about reconciliation. So stay tuned and thanks for watching. Thanks, everybody.